Hello, my name is Nevin Sayre. I'm on the Junior Sailing Committee at the Vineyard Haven Yacht Club in Massachusetts. I'm a lifelong sailor and racer and a four-time collegiate All-American, graduating from Tufts University. I also work part-time with Bic Sport, which has the Open Bic dinghy and the Techno 293, which is the largest one-design windsurfing class in the world. So this lifelong sailing stuff may have given me some experience, but what makes me passionate about this is that I have two kids who have gone through junior sailing. I've seen what's worked for them and what hasn't. I've seen how junior sailing has changed since I was a kid. But most importantly, I've learned why, regretfully, many kids have dropped out of sailing programs and heard countless similar stories across the country. Let's look at ways to make our sport more attractive to more kids. I'd like to thank Joel Labuzetta from Annapolis Yacht Club and Buster Pike from Park City Sailing, who joined me in this presentation at the Sailing Leadership Forum in San Diego. I apologize that many of the photos you see today are just from my home sailing program, also those from Annapolis Yacht Club, and from junior events that I've helped run. There are other great adventure sailing programs that have also come online in the last few seasons. So we need to talk about expanding junior sailing to be more inclusive. We're doing a good job of including more kids by gender, and we're starting to include more kids by skin color and economic background. What we're going to talk about today is broadening the attractiveness of sailing to include more kids, all kids, who just want to have more fun and thrill than we normally offer. Let's look at why it's important to expand sailing programs beyond racing. Let's learn lessons from other similar sports. And let's look at including adventure sailing to your sailing program to inspire more kids. Let's look at U.S. Sailing's mission statement: to provide leadership, integrity, and advancement for the sport of sailing. U.S. Sailing sets the course, enabling sailors to enjoy the sport for a lifetime. It is not U.S. Sailing's mission just to create champion sailors. And I suspect the mission statement of your junior program, whether yacht club, community program, or camp, is similar. It's to give the passion for sailing. Oh, and by the way, if you give other kids the fun and the passion, they may just turn out to be those champion sailors down the road. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room: the decline in sailing participation since I was a kid. Nick Hayes, in his excellent book Saving Sailing, reported the number of sailors in the U.S. dropping from 12.5 million to 2.6 million. Google searches that had anything to do with sailing dropped 40% from 2004 to 2012. Meanwhile, other sports, snow sports, surfing, skateboarding, those numbers remain strong. Here's a study from the French Sailing Federation. In 2006, 9 to 14-year-olds represented by far the biggest proportion of participants. However, their commitment to sailing is a major problem for both the Federation and its clubs. 15 to 20-year-olds represent only 13%. The quality and attractiveness of children's participation in our sailing schools determines their participation later. Without a doubt, the experience of sailing we offer kids and our success in instilling the passion for sailing is the single most important element to the future success of this sport we all love. So how are we doing in the U.S.? Well, at ages 7 to 10, we're doing pretty okay. Many junior programs report strong numbers in this age range. Generally, in that age group, it's the parents signing up junior for sailing. But at ages 11 to 14, programs report a huge dropout rate. Starting at age 11 or so, kids start to exert their own choice, right? There's no way I'm signing that girl up for ballet unless she wants to do it. No way I'm signing that kid up for soccer unless she wants to do it. That kid has to want to continue with sailing or she's out of here. So most sailing programs report a participation curve kind of like this. We lose a ton of potential sailing lifers at something like age 11 to 14. Well, most programs offer just one path. We start kids off and give them the basics, and then very quickly default toward throwing out marks and blowing whistles. We start filling their heads with a book of all these rules and regulations. We move them from one boat to another as they reach a certain age. At a very young age, we start ranking them. And not surprisingly, many kids get plenty of all this in school. Now, racing is fine for lots of kids. I was one of those kids at the top of the results and loved the chess game, as most of you do. But the bottom line is that racing only appeals to one segment of the population of kids. Sailing has so much more to offer. Cruising, keelboats, multi-hulls, windsurfers, speed, adventure. Sailing has at least as many different attractive alternatives as snow sports. But for most sailing programs, it's like we only offer kids cross-country ski racing and just don't expose them to downhill, snowboarding, half-pipes, backcountry exploring, whatever. Not every kid fits this one mold. Some kids just aren't into the competition. Some kids aren't physically the right size to be competitive in the offering of kids' boats. Some kids just want more thrill. So without offering more, we end up with participation kind of like this. We can learn a whole lot from snow sports. They're completely opposite. And of course, they know their numbers really well because they can scan your lift ticket. The bottom line is that they don't lose many kids. When you go to snow school, it's all about fun and adventure. You do all these fun activities while learning how to do everything safely. Very little focus on competition nowadays. As you progress, you expand the adventure to different parts of the mountain and gain more and more independence. It's cool. There's action, there's speed, there's hanging with your bros, there's color, there's adventure. Do snow schools right away set up gates and have you racing downhill? Nowadays, that's very rare. As kids progress, they see who naturally gravitates towards competition and then show them the path. The fact is, out of 17.5 million snow sports participants, less than 1% ever compete. Snow sports welcomes the whole pie and then allows different slices to find their own passion. As a sport, sailing makes the mistake of right away pushing kids towards one slice of pie, that one competition format. Look at these other popular sports, skateboarding, wakeboarding. And the new craze, stand-up paddling? It's all about being on the water and the adventure. A very small percentage care about racing. What's common to all these sports that kids love? First off, most kids are very attracted to board sports for the thrill. And guess what? Sailing already has two awesome board sports in windsurfing and also kiteboarding. In all these sports, the freedom and adventure are highly attractive. It's all about hanging with your buds. Variety of terrain, exploring are super important. These kids would get bored to tears doing windward lures again and again every day. Fast is fun, and the equipment is just flat out fun to ride. Fashion, color, image is more important to kids than we think. And competition? Again, in all these sports, less than 1% ever compete. And look at windsurfing and kiteboarding for a second. You go to places like San Francisco, the Outer Banks, Miami, the Gorge, Hawaii, etc., and you see tons of sailors windsurfing and kiteboarding. Worldwide, the number of sailors who windsurf or kiteboard is huge. And what do you know? Less than 1% ever compete. So why do so many love these forms of sailing? They have all the same positive attractions as all the other board sports. They are also, by far, the least expensive forms of sailing. That's why so many fresh out of college gravitate to windsurfing, kitesurfing. It's athletic and fun, but it's also affordable. No hassles, fits in your car. St. Francis Yacht Club, for example, has embraced this and offers special memberships for windsurfers and kiteboarders. And what do you know? They're attracting a younger crowd. We need to welcome this. In other countries, windsurfing, for instance, is an integral part of junior sailing programs. In this country, we're just starting to catch up. I worry that yacht club sailing programs only ever glorify the 3 to 5% of kids that pop out with a trophy, and we completely ignore the 95% who could be lifetime boaters. I believe we should expose kids to boating on all sorts of craft, not wash them out if they don't compete. That comes from John Holmberg, America's Cup legend from the Virgin Islands. So if you look at most programs, you have all these kids getting introduced to sailing, and then we're left with a small percentage of kids who are into racing. Those are the ones at the top of the pyramid. Ironically, it's often the case that 90% of the program's resources, new boats, Uber elite coaches, travel costs, etc., go to just 10 or maybe 30% of the kids at most. This is great job security for all the boat builders, boat dealers, and elite race coaches, and may massage the egos of some parents. But really, shouldn't we be investing in low-cost fun alternatives to inspire kids for sailing? One of the best takeaways from the Sailing Leadership Forum is new realization that actually our best instructors should be with the new kids, the bottom of the pyramid. The new kids are the one who we want to inspire the most. They should have the best coaches with the best attitude. So in most junior sailing programs, we do two things. We push them towards racing, and we teach them in gear designed more than 50 years ago. Let's talk about that for a second. Adults have all this cool stuff. Foiling moths, windsurfing, planing sport boats, kiteboarding. But how do we introduce sailing to kids? Kids have all this modern technology. What 12-year-old do you know doesn't have a smartphone? But the truth is, we introduce sailing to most kids with typewriters. When you go to ski school, they're not giving you 10-foot wooden skis. You're not lacing up heavy leather boots and tying them on. No way. You gotta ask, do kids take out the boats in your program just to go have fun? What did Ken Reed say at the Sailing Leadership Forum? He finds it amazing that kids have all this modern technology at their fingertips, and yet we introduce kids in boats designed in the 1940s. Are we breaking into the modern age? Are we keeping kids involved because we're showing them the best and the coolest and the latest? So many programs are realizing that they need to offer more than just racing to inspire kids for sailing. Again, no one is saying you should scrap your racing program, but some programs are now successfully offering parallel adventure programs that focus more on fun, seamanship, and variety. And you know what? They're reporting that their dropout rates are going down. Joel from Annapolis Yacht Club, for instance, presented at the Leadership Forum their adventure program, which runs alongside their active race program. Kids get a chance to find their passion in a whole variety of boats. Annapolis Yacht Club has 7 open Bics, 6 stand-up paddleboards, and 4 windsurfers. On a given day, the kids sometimes use 420s. They are also fortunate to have access to J22s, so the kids get that experience as well. Joel reports that his adventure program is growing, and now they will offer an additional adventure class in the afternoon for the older kids, focusing on keelboats. Because Annapolis is notoriously challenged for breeze in the summer, the stand-up paddleboards get a lot of use. Annapolis Yacht Club is also fortunate to have engaged members who volunteer to take the adventure kids out on borrowed big boats. You can pack a lot of kids onto a Far 40. It wouldn't be an adventure if you didn't explore other parts of Chesapeake Bay. And because they are often crippled with zero wind, they sometimes take power boats and even offer fishing. It's important to maximize the assets you may already have at your program. Does someone have a big boat? Can the adventure kids use the fleet that adults use for team racing? With instructor supervision, of course. Is there a pack of sunfish sitting dormant on lawns around your lake? It's also important to maximize your venue. It's criminal if you have a program on Cape Cod, for instance, and your kids never sail out of your little bay. Explore. You might just inspire the next Joshua Slocum. At our home program at Vineyard Haven, we call the adventure program the Reachers. Like Annapolis and others, the kids get a chance to do it all. Kids find their own passion, and we've had such demand in windsurfing, for instance, that we've expanded now to add dedicated windsurfing classes in both morning and afternoons in addition to the Reachers, and we now have a full-time windsurfing coach. So you can see, because there's the demand, we have Reachers and windsurfing parallel to our normal Opti 420 program in both mornings and afternoons. And our program is buzzing with excitement. We have kids who do Optis in the morning and Reachers in the afternoons. We have kids who windsurf in the morning and do race team in the afternoon. We have kids signing up for extra opportunities because we offer them and because they're fun. Now that we offer more exciting programming, the measure of success is our attrition rate is going down. We even have kids who had quit Optis, this was before we had an adventure program, and only played tennis at our club. Some of these kids have now come back to sailing in our Reachers and Windsurf program. That's what they find attractive. And what's also cool is to see graduates from Reachers and or Windsurfing now moving on to our 420 racers. I'm sure you have those kids who are new to sailing as a young teenager. It rarely works to put them in a traditional class when younger kids sail circles around them. Now with our Reachers and Windsurf programs, these kids can now find their fun. This slide isn't to make you cross-eyed. It's to illustrate the kids have the ability to move to different offerings to suit their passion and ability. In the course of their junior career, we have kids who start in Optis, then move to Reachers, windsurfing, and then move to 420s. And every combination imaginable. It's all good. This just illustrates the approximate age ranges, noting that Reachers and windsurfers span a larger age range. The kids are engaged because they get to sail all these cool different boats. But the Reachers also take advantage of our venue, our harbor. While the racers are practicing laps up and down, the Reachers navigate the ferry channel and sail over to a beach across the bay for a snack. They sail under the drawbridge and up the lagoon in waters they've never seen before. They sail through a narrow channel, into the inner harbor, negotiate all the moored boats, and go get ice cream at Mad Martha's. And they're learning all these boat handling and navigation skills without even realizing it. And they're going on an adventure. They also do other fun stuff. There's, of course, the pirate days and the pudding eating contest, which isn't limited, of course, to the Reachers. There's also the infamous chowder race, where you re-rig your boats any way you want. Here's an Opti rig with a small windsurfing sail rigged onto the hull of an open Bic. Can you imagine the skills this kid is learning? Kids love freestyle. So the Reachers have freestyle expression sessions, not unlike snowboarding, skateboarding, windsurfing. Do you think these kids are learning about boat trim, riding moments, center of effort? They don't realize it, but they are becoming very competent sailors, and they're having fun. Capsizing becomes not something you dread, and the instructors dread. We make it part of the fun. How empowering when a kid knows they can self-rescue immediately. So these kids may not have memorized by age 11 all the rules in the rule book, but they are developing lifelong sailing skills. The bottom line is, you never know where a kid will find their true love for sailing. So you want to expose them to as many sailing opportunities as possible, not just one track. Sailing has so many incredible opportunities: skiffs, keelboats, windsurfers, multi-hulls, cruising, racing, you name it. There are as many diverse games to be played on the water as there are different games to be played on grass. Offering just one path in junior sailing is like offering lawn bowling when there's also soccer, ultimate frisbee, baseball, whatever. Give kids the variety. Offer them different thrills so that they may find their own passion. Let's give kids what they want. It's gratifying to see many more prominent sailing programs now offering adventure programs, like Annapolis Yacht Club, like American Yacht Club, like many community programs now. We're headed in the right direction. It's time for your sailing program to get on board. Thank you for your time and have a great day sailing.